All right, welcome back, everyone. We are kicking off a new segment this week. It's called Know the Law, and it'll air each Saturday on Fox 17 Weekend Morning News.
Yeah, our Christian Frank has more for us this week.
It could be a scary moment for parents. Their teenager getting their driver's license finally, but there are some things that you might want to address before you actually let them get behind the wheel. In this week's Know the Law segment, Tom Sinas is here to talk about what you need to know when it comes to teens behind the wheel.
Hi, Christian. Let's start first with auto insurance. Everybody in the state's required to have auto insurance. So if your teen's going to be driving your car, you want to make sure that they are included on your auto insurance policy. And this is really important because people don't realize that under Michigan law, owners of a vehicle, which is typically a parent,
right,
are liable for the accidents of people that they let drive those vehicles. So if you let your teenager drive your vehicle and your teenager, heaven forbid, causes an accident, you as the owner could be liable. Well, it's really important that that teenager was on the auto insurance policy, right, because you wouldn't want your insurance company to say, you know what, you never told us that your son was going to be driving, and if we had known that, we would have increased your premium, and so you don't have any coverage.
And that applies right from the beginning when they're doing their learner session and when they're just starting to test.
That's right. The general rule is always be candid, open, and honest with your insurer. Let them know everything that's happening. Don't hold anything back, because if something bad happens, whatever you held back could come back to haunt you.
What else do you need to know?
You need to know that there are a series of graduated license rules for teen drivers, and these are really easy to understand. They're on the Secretary of State's website. There's basically 3 phases, and just make sure that you know exactly where your child is on that graduated licensing system. When they start out, they can't be driving, they have to be driving all the time with someone else in the vehicle.
Right.
When they get to the next phase, they can't be driving at nighttime. Finally, they get to the 3rd phase and they can drive as an adult. But just make sure you're talking with them and that they understand and you understand where they are in that system.
And that next bullet point is very important. We've got to remember there is 0 tolerance for texting or alcohol behind the wheel when you're talking about teenagers.
That's right. Really, the same rules that apply to us apply to our kids. None of us are allowed to text and drive, and certainly that's so important to emphasize that with your teenager. The same is true for alcohol. Teenagers have a higher standard, 0 tolerance whatsoever when it comes to alcohol, whether it's drinking or even in the vehicle. So tell your teenagers alcohol gets nowhere near the vehicle.
Let's talk about setting up that contract. How does that work?
You know, there's a couple of great documents that you can get online, even through the Secretary of State, and it's an agreement that you enter into with your kid.
Promise between the parent?
That's right. Parent and the kid. Parent says, you know, I'm going to allow you to drive, or I'm going to buy you a car, or whatever it may be, but you're going to promise to do or not do the following things. And you can write it on your own. You can find a sample contract online. But what it does is it sets expectations.
Right.
So your kid is promising to you that they're going to follow certain kinds of behavior when they're driving, and you're promising to them you're going to let them use your car.
And I mean, you know, you've got to be a great example too, because anytime there's a kid in the car, whether they're 5 years old or 14, they're seeing how you behave behind the wheel. So that means parents shouldn't be texting, shouldn't do anything that they're, you know, breaking the law. You got to set the right standards, right?
That's right. Anyone who has a kid knows that from the time they're really little, they're sponges.
Yeah.
And they'll soak up everything you say and do. And if you're texting a little bit here and a little bit there when you drive, certainly is not fair for you to tell them that they can't do the same thing.
Yeah. And if somebody wants to know more about the laws that they're dealing with, they can contact the law office.
Contact our firm. Our Grand Rapids phone number, 616-301-3333. Our website, Sinas Dramis, SINASDRAMIS.com. We have offices in Grand Rapids, Lansing, and Chicago.
Important to know the law. Tom, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.